Open jacket style!
And welcome back to the Foundry Files. I'm Wee Wee.
And I'm Admiral Murphy!
Please never do that again, Murph, when you're doing an intro.
I think that scared my cat.
I'm sure it probably did.
I
It was
whatever.
horrible.
I don't like him anyway, so whatever. Hey, this is a Foundry podcast. Do you know what we talk about? Lock boxes.
I don't think I do.
We talk about lock boxes here. So we're going to talk about
really?
the Breen ship and how it's... Oh, no, wait. That's not in a lockbox. Oh my god. I actually thought that was a really nice thing Cryptic did, is not in a lockbox. But Winter Event came out this week. I just want to say that's been a blast. I really, really love fighting the snowmen and all that stuff. That's cool. So I love all that stuff. And the jackets. Can we get that in the Foundry, please? Because that is like my favorite jacket right now. Especially like the black one. I want to get that on my character so bad. I got like half of the resources needed.
I like the open jackets that you have in the Z store.
Yeah, open jackets. Anyway.
It's if it's an open jacket style.
So now you can go around Stowe and have your own open jacket style. Hey, we got like some news, like one piece of news. Let's go into that. But first, let me tell you what else is coming up. We've got a review of Brains Before Bounty coming up this episode with a couple tips on improving your grammar and spelling in your Foundry missions. And then community feedback where we see what you guys had to say about the new Spotlight. The Spotlight way, I don't know how you call that. The new Spotlight feature's not really new. It's just they changed it. Something, blah, 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 go. And our news this week is Foundry editing was turned back on.
Yay!
Woo! I don't know what we can say about that because that's all that happened this week in the Foundry is that the editing was turned back on. But you said you got into the Foundry. What did you see while you were there?
Well, my initial thing was happy to see all the new features. Played around for a bit. A little bit disappointed that I didn't see the patrols available for the NPC contacts. I don't know whether they actually said that, but they are available for NPC groups, which is very nice. And it's I played around with that a bit. It's a little bit tight on some of the custom maps, and actually I encountered a rather familiar bug, unfortunately, with it, where... You remember when they brought Kid Core Ground, where all the NPCs just vamped to help?
Iconian Gateway.
Yeah, that sort of happened a bit when I tried with the patrols. I think it might have just been the map I was using, but either way, I don't know whether the actual thing's bugged or not. But so far, it looks pretty good. Yeah, but it's a little off.
Is it easy to use? I haven't hopped into the Foundry yet, so is it easy to set up patrols and stuff, or is it kind of a little difficult?
Well. It can be both easy and difficult because I mean, if you've got a custom map, for example, the one I was first testing out was one of my custom maps, and the patrol wasn't set like to a higher plane. Basically, it wasn't visible above like the floor I was using. The floor was above it in terms of the 2D view when you're actually editing the map. Yeah. So the only way I could know where it was because it was already selected and where it was, and there's a few features when you actually select the points, like you can move it around everywhere, and actually the NPC groups can not only just go to the first point and then the second point in logical order, but they can just randomize it basically. There's different points connecting the world to each other. It's pretty good actually, yeah, but it does take a bit of getting used to and a bit of playing around with.
You know what the Foundry needs is a thing like the bring to forward button where you can just take something and say put it above everything else. I wish they had that because I've seen that so many times when I've been building my own interiors and stuff like that. just sucks. I wish that was added in.
Yeah, I remember Zeronius Rex saying a while ago actually that that was one of the top 10 features she wanted in the Foundry, like, to be able to put that thing highlighted above everything else in the 2D view, so you know exactly where it is. So things like the patrol map, so you don't get confused with where it is.
Now reviews are still turned off because I know when we played this week's mission, it was saying, "Oh, you can't review it. It's turned off still." So I guess they're still checking for bugs. I don't know if they fixed that other bug where ships were vanishing. I know that wasn't a Foundry specific bug because I did one of the Romulan patrols. It was like the one with the Tholians and the artifacts or whatever, and some Tholian. Oh no, not that one. It was the one with the planet that was where the colony was scooped up by the Borg. You know, where you have to go to the satellite and fix it. Well, when I moved away from it, when the bad guys showed up, they never appeared on the map. So it wasn't just a Foundry bug. It seemed to be a bug that was across game. I don't know if that's been fixed or not yet. I did not encounter it while playing our Foundry mission this week. So, who knows? Let's just assume that they fixed it. So go play your Foundry missions, people. Speaking of which, here's one you should go play. Let's go check it out. And this week on Quick Tips, probably the most important storytelling tips we are going to give you is grammar and spelling. Well, what's so difficult about grammar and spelling? Well, if you screw it up, people are going to be like, wow, really? This looks like a 5-year-old wrote it. So this is probably the most important category you don't want to screw up. And trust me, it's easy to not screw this up. So first of all, write your mission outside the Foundry because the Foundry does not have spell check. So if you're writing this without spell check, it can get crazy the amount of just simple typos and misspellings you have. So either write it outside the Foundry or just copy your Foundry text into a Word document so you can check it easily there and fix it and then put it back into the Foundry. Now, before publishing, it's good to not only play through your missions for technical reasons, but also for story, to give a last check to all of your story boxes and stuff like that, so you can make sure there's no spelling or grammar issues there. Because, again, simple typos, very easy to slip by you when originally writing your draft. And then, after you publish, it's still good to check it with a friend. Have a friend play through the mission with you, or just have them play it on their own, and have them send any errors they found while playing through your mission. I've done this with my own missions. I'll have a member of Jupiter Force go through them with me, and he'll point out any spelling or grammar errors he sees or something I can improve upon. Let me know, and then I'll go and change it. So it's really nice to have a friend. I think that's like the most important tip because having one set of eyes on your work is not always as good as having 2 sets of eyes on your work. So there you go, grammar and spelling for the week. Hey, when we come back next year, we'll have technical tips coming your way, so stay tuned.
And on to our mission review. We are reviewing the mission Brain Before Bounty, not Brawn. For anybody.
Because you keep screwing it up.
Yeah, I do. Well, at least it's not bad as the Yonging.
Oh,
anyway.
I knew if I was going to bring it up, you were going to talk about it, but whatever.
Anyway, we have some basic stats for this mission. As of this recording, and when we played through it, it has 1,688 players, which is a pretty fair number, actually. Yeah. It has an average star rating of 4.02, which also makes this a very good mission, considering both. And it's a pretty short mission, which is about a 20-minute play, maximum, maybe shorter if you're a bit quicker, but yeah, it's a fairly short mission overall.
But that's good, because if you don't have a lot of time to play during the week or something, like I don't anymore, this is a great mission to just hop in and play during the week. So, there you go, something to do during your weekdays when you just want to hop in a stove real quick. But here we go with the story. A Nausicaan battleship looms over a Ferengi mining colony, and it's up to you to find out what's up with this colony, what's going on, what are the Nausicaans doing here, before you find a sword through your chest. Like Picard. See? I touchstoned. That's how you can do it. So I should have probably included that in last week's touchstone tips. Next time I time travel, I'll probably do that. But anyway, the plot was really good for a 20-minute mission. I mean, with a mission that short, you expect it to be like daily. I mean, it's longer than your normal daily, but still, I mean, look at the dailies we have in store right now. What's the story? It's kind of I mean, there's not really a plot to it, except maybe fix a satellite or something. This has a plot to it. It definitely has a story to it with a mystery that you're going to solve, all in 20 minutes, and it's awesome. You can tell the author put a lot of thought into this. The characters were really good as well. The Nausicaan baddie felt like your average mercenary. With a twist, though, because he had his own agenda, so he really wasn't... You'll have to find out what he's up to, but let's just say he's not your average mercenary you're going to run across. Also, the Ferengi Governor Gramp. We had to figure out his name. It's an awesome name. I love it. That name's awesome. And he was pretty good, too. But other than that, there's no other major characters. I mean, you're not going to be like, oh, remember this character from the mission? But they're good. Good work put into them, especially for, again, a 20-minute mission. The dialogue was really well written, too. And it was interesting to read as you played through. And it didn't feel like you were getting, like, so many text boxes after text boxes. I mean, they were separated by something to do, even if it was something little. There was one point where I believe you said, like, you talked to the governor, and it felt kind of long, but other than that, it seemed to be really well paced.
Oh yeah, the conversation with the governor is rather long and extensive, shall we say, but it's a rather good conversation, and it'll probably definitely pique your interest.
And then, there are no canon contradictions in this mission, with some touchstoning on the FCA and the Ferengi rules of acquisition. Also, we pointed this out, it's not really touchstoning in a way, but it's something that's similar to a Star Trek episode, is you go and hide in this debris field, this junk pile out in space around the planet, which makes you wonder, how'd this junk pile get here? Are the Nausicaans going pew-pew or something, or what? But we don't know. But you go into there to hide, and it's kind of like that episode, Unification, I believe it is, where they go and hide in the debris field and wait for their prey to come or whatever, stuff like that. And no grammar and spelling issues detected in this mission. Story scored a 7.76, 17th ranked in story. Pretty good. And then in technical, the maps were really good as well. The ground map, I have to say, is the highlight of the mission, because when you beam down, the environment is nailed. I mean, it's awesome. I want to talk a little bit more about it when we get into creativity, because this reminded me of another mission that I've played before. The transitions were really good in this mission, because there's only 3 maps, so you're not going to be sitting at a loading screen ridiculously long over and over and over again. It's going to be quick-paced. You're not going to have to worry about transitions and going, I'm not doing anything, I'm always sitting at these loading screens. That's not going to happen in this mission at all. There's some great art asset usage for construction of the mining outpost, and a nice use of that space debris as well in space. It makes you wonder, again, if the Nausicaans were shooting up people, or if that's just debris they're throwing up into orbit or something like that. And then creativity was shown through the construction of the colony. It was very unique. It felt like a mining colony while you were down there, especially one that the Ferengi would be at, because, come on, the Ferengi governor even mentions, it's like Ferenginar here, it's so nice. And of course, it does kind of look like Ferenginar with all the rain and the dust and all that stuff. The mining colony really reminds you of the one you visited in the Romulans series at Hifar.
Hifar, yeah.
But it has its own nice touch, because it's not Romulans, it's Ferengi. And you've also got the Nausicaans down there, so they've got like their own camp outside the mining base. So it's like when you go over to there, you're like, I don't know if I want to be here, because there's some scary Nausicaans here. It's dark, there's some fires lit. It really feels like you're walking into a dangerous place. The instructions were really good throughout the mission. Detailed, very well done. It's easy to follow through this mission. And there are no Foundry limitations. Technical scored a 7.22, our 14th rank in technical. So, again, both of these categories are good. No issues detected at all. So, there's this guy. His name's Wee Wee. He's our game master. So I guess he should probably talk about gameplay. Or I could. Alright, here we go. I'll talk about it. Space gameplay was weak. I don't like the way you organized your bullet points. You know what? You talk about it.
Anyway, there are some negative and some quite positive aspects in this gameplay, but let's start off with a few basic ones, shall we? The usual stuff. Space gameplay, pretty weak. Not much to do besides hail an NPC and move to a reach marker. I mean, literally, that's all you have to do. And with only 2 space maps and 3 maps overall, it's kind of expected, really. But this and the combat are the only things to do in space, so it's a little on that side of things. But the combat was very engaging. There were some stack groups, which made some very interesting fighting. There are some Nausicaan fighters, and they are
a lot tougher than you think.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal, and they've got this special power which prevents you from turning altogether, something which an escort captain, which I happen to be flying, bugship, doesn't like, because they can't face the cannons and all that kind of stuff. So they can't turn, they can't use the cannons, they can't destroy them properly. and it takes a lot longer to destroy them.
So what he's saying is I saved his butt in that mission.
Not really, because you're the only one that died.
I didn't die. When did I die?
You said you died.
No, I didn't.
May as
What
well.
the hell?
May
I
as well.
saved your butt. I was in the stinking ship that could shoot because I didn't have to face him.
I had more DPS in my turrets than needed in your entire phaser array. Anyway,
Wow. That's it. I quit. This show's stupid.
the AI used by the Nautican ships can disable your engines, and then the Scourge Destroyer comes along with Theta radiation and irradiates in front of you, which, of course, you can't maneuver out of. So therefore, you cannot turn out of a Scourge Destroyer irradiating Theta radiation in front of your face, so your shields, your crew, and your health just go down. So watch out for that kind of stuff. Tactical Destroyers, fighters, probably your main targets and those kind of things. There was a boss fight at the end, but it was pretty mediocre compared to the rest of it.
Yeah,
but,
we wiped it. It was like,
yeah,
whatever.
it wasn't pretty. It wasn't hard at all, really. There was a bit of ground. The only ground map. Ground gameplay was a bit more functional than space. Quite a bit to do, but there was a lot of running around, which isn't very nice for a player because they can find it really boring. It's like
It was effing
this,
around.
this, and this, but it takes ages to get to the other side of the map. Perhaps a puzzle or two could have enhanced this section a lot more, maybe. But there is a bit of ground combat, which was very interesting as well. Not as good as space combat, but there are plenty of groups that spawn at once a specific object which player interacts with. There's only one group at a time, which can make it pretty easy, but these groups are much higher level. They're more like captains and commander levels rather than just ensigns, so you won't just wipe the floor with them. Nausicans tend to be kind of they're not hard, but they're not too easy either. So watch out for those, because those elite raiders are pretty brutal when they disable you. There is a single instance where a couple of groups stack. It only occurs on one occasion because there's a group already there, and if you miss it, like Murphy did, we ended up fighting two at once, which was pretty. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty brutal. A couple of us died, but it was pretty good in those instances. But so look out for those Nauticans. And there is one final point, which is replayability, and that was only slightly present, as we've only seen in this mission compared to other ones. There's a bit of alternate dialogue, and particularly in that extensive conversation with the governor earlier that I mentioned.
There's three.
Three.
And it really hasn't changed the path, I think. So.
Yeah, it's not much beyond that point. It's not exactly the most multipath mission in the world. There's a bit of alternate dialogue, what you're going to do, what you're going to say, and even if you say the opposite option, you still end up going back to the other one anyway by a different means. So it's not exactly multipath at all.
No, I mean, the score sheet's going to say there's a little bit of replayability. I personally am going to say play it once. You're not going to play it again. I mean, I've played it twice by now because I played it once a while ago, but that was for a review. I mean, I could see somebody replaying it just because it's short and it could be something to do their Foundry daily or whatever if they're not doing some other exploit, in case there is one out there now. I don't know. I haven't found one. But, yeah, I mean, it's a nice short mission for that, and we'll talk about that in the summary because it is a highlight of this mission. But what did gameplay score here?
6.07, which put it in a pretty lowly 21st place. So a lot of work to do on the gameplay section, but the combat is pretty much nailed, I'd say.
Yeah, again, the gameplay is good, but I think for all these categories, there's room for improvement because everything's good. There's like no issues. But again, this leads into our summary here, which is overall, it was a really great mission to play if you only have a short time to play a Foundry mission. Across the board, all the categories are balanced and are pretty good. I mean, there's nothing that you're looking at. It's like, oh, gameplay could have been improved, technical could have been improved. They're all pretty balanced throughout this mission. But there's nothing outstanding, and some stuff could be added in to boost these categories, but just playing through the mission, it's hard to find something wrong with any of these categories. So it scored a 7.13 and is tied in 17th place with First Cause Then Effect, which was also a pretty good mission. So
I think that's our first tie in our ranking table, I believe, isn't it?
yeah, there's one that's like a point. There's two missions there that are like 0.0 off, one of Alamax and then another one that we'll talk about next week.
There's like half a dozen ones that like that, but this is actually the very first time we've actually tied. You wouldn't have believed it, would you? What, we reviewed like 24, 25 missions? And
yeah, something like that. Yeah, so we do have a ranking table where you can go see all the missions we reviewed. Just head over to the Jupiter Force forums. There's like a Foundry Files sections. You can go under that, and there's like a whole ranking table where our score sheets are... I mean, our episodes are stored, so go ahead and check that out if you want to see the other missions we reviewed, because they're pretty good. But this is your mission for the week. Go check it out. and welcome to Community Feedback. Whoa! What are you doing? What are you doing? Did you just try to intro it? What? What did you just do? That's it. I was paid my 1 penny to intro this segment, and you stole it. You stole it.
The best I could do was open my mouth, and the rest of it was you. So I had.
Fine. You know what? You intro. Go ahead. Go ahead. What was I gonna say? You go ahead and say it right now. Just go. People apparently want to hear you say it.
Welcome to Community Feedback, and we have a poll.
That was a terrible job. I'm sorry. Welcome to Community Feedback. We have a poll this week. It's on. What was our poll on? I don't remember. It was something.
Is it worth having a spotlight mission if
yeah.
you no longer have rights to control your work?
So we both said no. What did the people say, Wee Wee?
They generally agree with us, but out of 11 votes, 7 voted no, and 4 voted yes, which is actually a lot more for yes than I would have figured.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have somebody hating something, they tend to be really loud about it, and when somebody just doesn't care, they're kind of the quiet people the quiet majority. I mean, we see that a lot on the forums, and I've seen on the forums some people have not liked this. Listening to other Foundry podcasts like Podcast UGC, unanimously they didn't like it. They, especially Havra, he's pissed off at it. Just looking around at all the different places where Foundry authors tend to hang out, most of the prolific ones or people who just spend a lot of their time in the Foundry aren't liking the way this works. And it's just because Foundry authors don't want to lose their work. So me and Wee had a discussion on yesterday when we saw the results on why we didn't think it was worth it. And basically it came down to, what are you getting in return for submitting your Spotlight mission? What are you getting, Wee? What do you get when you get your mission spotlighted?
Nothing.
No, you do get stuff. You do. But, again, it's kind of...
Okay.
Here's what you get. You get the random green, blue, or purple console added onto your mission. Yay. How many of you need that? Seriously, how many of you get excited for that? Is there anybody watching this who's getting excited for that?
Well, you get stuff attached to the mission. XP, loot, all that kind of stuff. But do you as a player, Murphy, actually get anything? Do you get any loot? Do you get any credit? Do you get anything? I mean, you'll probably get the credit for the mission.
Yeah.
But all over time, that'll lose credit because it's an old style mission, and unless Cryptic complies, you won't be able to edit it.
So a player isn't going to get like super pumped. I mean, if it was like a DOF, even if it wasn't a good DOF, it's something unique. And oh my god, if it's just a unique thing out there that's not even like great in the game, it's not amazing, there is groups of people who will still go get it. Like me. I mean, I flew around with like the Aegis set for a while. I don't know if it's still good or not, but I don't use it anymore. It's kind of a mix between the Aegis and Mako just because I love the look of it. But I had that for a while just because it was some cool, unique thing. Nobody crafts anymore, so you only get it off exchange, but whatever. But if you just threw in a DOF into like the DOF system, so you could get like a special character out of that mission or whatever, that would be something really cool to see, and I'd play the Spotlight missions to check that out. You also get a little bit of fame with your mission. Because, come on, it's on the Cryptic website. Most of the... I wouldn't say all the Stowe players, but most of them go there and check it out. Now, if they click on to see what the Foundry Mission Spotlight is, you're going to get a few more plays from that. Probably a couple hundred. But, honestly, you can probably get a close enough amount from getting your mission reviewed on a podcast. And if it's reviewed really well, then you're going to get a lot more plays than if it's not reviewed as well. But... even if you don't get as many plays from a podcast reviewing your mission as the Cryptic Spotlight, you still have control over your work. And again, we brought this up last week. The Foundry isn't done. I mean, look at it. It still has the beta tag in it. There's major stuff missing from the Foundry that you're going to want to have into your missions. And we got a post on our forums here. I want to read it real quick, a little bit of it at least. But it's from AJ Stoner, and he had a unique perspective that was kind of like, I could see where it come from, but I kind of disagree. But he says, I have to say, regarding the submission requirements for spotlighted missions, that I really don't have an issue with it as such. Perhaps it's because I sold stories before, and that is how it works in publishing, in the publishing world. But I really don't see this as any different. They are, in essence, buying your mission. Granted, I think you should receive at least some compensation for this, be it a small fee or in-cash game like in-game cash like Zen, but that is another matter. My only real worry is that Cryptic also take on the responsibility of making sure these missions are kept working when patches are applied. That's actually a good point too. If Cryptic breaks something, it's up to them now to fix it or you can't do that. I mean, we've seen it before. They've broken the Foundry in the past, and it's taken them so long to fix it. where it's up to the Foundry author to unpublish their mission. I mean, look at Season 4. Foundry missions broke across the board. They locked the Foundry editor, and people couldn't go change their missions. And people's mission scores plummeted because they couldn't do anything about it. And I don't know if... Hopefully Cryptic learned their lesson from that, but that's just an example of why Foundry authors don't like losing the access to the editing tool. But
I'll tell you what it's like, Murph. I made this reference to you yesterday. There's a couple of problems with this. The problem I brought up was the fact that, to give an example, some of you will probably remember the Soap and Paper whole hassle from like a year or two ago. And Wikipedia went down for a day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Before this, people were saying that, yes, it's a good idea to block copyrighted websites for all that kind of stuff and all that stuff. Wikipedia went down for a day, came back, the next day, everything went 180. Most people voted no. I'm suspecting this is another situation where people, until they've actually lost it, don't realise.
Yeah. And I kind of agree there too, because if you go to our episode 8, you can read the rest of the comment here. But basically, he goes on to say he doesn't see it as an issue, and he believes that once you publish your mission, you shouldn't edit it. And I can see where he's coming from, because yes, when you publish a novel, you can't pull it from the market and pull everybody's copies and change it. Once it's published, it's published. But the difference here is that this is Foundry missions. They're not novels. These are things that change constantly. Look at Cryptic's missions. They've patched them over and over and over again, added stuff in, taken stuff out, fixed bugs, blah, blah, blah. They've even remastered some to the degree of where we see the Doomsday Machine completely done so that the story's almost new. I mean, you get tons of new characters in that and stuff like that. That's something Foundry authors and Foundry missions should have the chance to do as well. If, like, say I wanted to take my original mission, Deep Space 11, it's really short, but I could totally flesh it out to where it becomes this huge, epic, long mission with tons of stuff. Yeah,
cutscenes, mob patrols, NPC pathways, all that kind of stuff.
And everybody has a mission probably in their catalog that they'd love to add cutscenes into. But if you lost your but if the Cryptic locked your access to Foundry because you got Spotlight, that's something you lose. And that's kind of like Foundry authors don't see that as, all right, what am I getting in return if I'm losing my editing access? Nothing really. So I can kind of see where he's coming from here, but it does. This post that we got does show that some people just really don't care. I mean, they don't care to lose their editing access because they're done with it, which is fine because you're still going to see probably some people Spotlight. But again, so it's on both sides right now. A lot of people say no, I don't want my mission spotlighted now because of this. Some are going to go, I can see why there's a problem, but it's all right. I'll still submit mine for spotlighting if it's picked. Whatever.
I'll tell you who will agree with this, Murph, is those people who feel the mission is completed. And
yes.
Even then, I would not recommend those people submit it, because even if your mission is feel complete, you don't want to add more pages, you don't want cutscenes in the future, you never know what might come. The Foundry's never going to be complete. It could be it could have come out absolutely complete, every fleshed out as soon as it came out, which obviously didn't happen. Even then, there's going to be Foundry features added more into the future. So from my perspective, this is just my personal point of view, I probably would never submit one, because there are no complete essence, in essence, for the Foundry. It's a continuously updating feature.
Yeah, the only mission I have is Victory's Queue that I don't feel like it going back and editing. But I don't want to lose the editing rights to that mission, so I'm not resubmitting it. So it's probably not going to make it onto the list of spotlighted stuff. And I'm like, whatever. It got tons of plays originally. It's probably not going to get any more if I keep it on the spotlight list. Whatever. But so definitely a big topic right now in the Foundry community was this. So thanks everybody who sent in your feedback, whether it was through like a mail like that or in the poll. And if you still have stuff to say on it, go ahead and send it in. Foundryfiles@gmail.com. That's our email. You can send us feedback to there, mission reviews and stuff like that. Next week is going to be episode 10. Woo, we hit double digits. It's going to be a shorter episode because I'm going to New York City basically the whole time we usually shoot this show and edit it. So it will be a shorter episode, but we will be covering our top 10 Foundry missions that we reviewed over the course of Foundry Files. So I think it's been about a year or so. I mean, we came out in like June last year, so at least with Stoked. So it's been about a year, so we'll have our top 10 missions overall that we've reviewed, so you'll have some awesome missions to check out over your holiday break. So I don't think there's anything else. Do you have anything else you want to add in, Wee Wee? Anything? I think that's it.
I think we're pretty much done for this week, yeah?
Yeah, so hey, we're done. Go play some Foundry missions. Maybe go run the racetrack a couple times. If we see you down there, if you see us, go ahead and say hi, and we'll fight some snowmen or something. So, hey, we'll see you next week.
What?
What are we doing first?
Intro. Just like,
Right, okay.
just not
I
the
would've
open jacket
started it.
style. It's just saying, hi everybody, winner e-posts are in the game. Let's go. Hey. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. So you can't even see my video, so you don't see the face I'm making, so I don't know why you're laughing. You're supposed to say hi. Hi everybody.
You do it, will you?
Oh, you know, it switches every episode. We can't
I
break
know.
it, it's a tradition. All you have to do,
Fine.
just say hi.
Yeah.
3,
Alright,
2,
let's
1,
do that
go.
again. Go. Restart again.
3, 2, 1, go.
Properly.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, a telephone. Oh, there's a telephone ringing in the background. Hold
I
on.
don't hear it.
You don't hear it? Okay, I'll keep going then.
I actually hear it now.
Oh, you do? Shut up, telephone. I don't take calls anymore. That's why I got Skype. It's called Skype. Catch up. It's got video. See? Wee Wee's on video, and he's in Britain. You're probably calling from, like, down the street, and you don't even have video. So you're not important. I don't want to hear the answering machine. Now it's just buzzing. What the hell? It's just like, beep, I'm not even going to leave you a message. Okay, here we go. Where was I talking? Oh, I was going to talk about why we don't think it's worth it.